with me. Breathe with me, take in this moment. I made my first Berserk video about 2 weeks ago, and that was just the first deluxe volume. Everybody had a lot to say, many positive things. Thank you so much to the reception committee. Thank you so much to everybody who so warmly welcomed me into the manga universe. I mean, really. Lots of people watched that video. At the time of recording, that video currently has about like 1.5K comments. I would say about 1,000 of those comments are urging me to continue to read onto the next deluxe volume and the Golden Age art. It's here. It's here. And if you'll notice with this one, I got this from the library as well. This one has a sticker saying parental advisory. If I remember correctly, the last book that I read of Berserk did not have that. And from my understanding, I'm about to embark on one of the most emotionally daunting tasks of my entire life. As you can see, I am wearing black to mourn who I was before I started reading this. I am sure I'm going to just be a shell of my former self. Anyway, I haven't even done so much as open this, so we're going to experience the first page together. Let's do this. Here is the first page. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go, guys. The Golden Age arc. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's starting. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and read some of this and I'll get back to you another day. As always, look at that. Let's check the progress. I am here. I have started the story, and a lot of you laughed at me when I said I'm about a fourth of the way through, so I think I know what's going on. I retract that. I take it all back because I'm a fourth of the way through this book, and I feel like I'm starting to maybe understand who Guts is. Wow, yeah. So yesterday, the book started almost immediately with where it left off in the Black Swordsman arc, which is Guts unfortunately being abused by somebody within the camp. This picks up right from that, which is really impressive to me because when I was doing research, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the Black Swordsman arc was published or at least began to be serialized in 1989, and the Golden Age arc was beginning to be serialized in 1992. So there was about a 3-year gap between it, and as you read Golden Arc, you start to see a lot of the tie-ins of the characters that were introduced in the Black Swordsman in like a really interesting way of being able to kind of like predict how he wanted to orchestrate the continuation of Guts' story. I know a lot of people said also in the last video that the first introduction page of the Black Swordsman arc was not really reminiscent of how Guts would be portrayed in the rest of the series, but it feels like Miura was able to tie back a lot of those foundational things that he established in the first Black Swordsman arc. So I left off at, where am I right now? Chapter 5 of the Golden Age. Like I said before, it started with a horrific assault on Guts, and during this assault, it's revealed that Gambino is not the man that Guts thought he was. I'm also going to go full spoilers on this. Because everybody was like, do spoilers, we don't care, we want to hear it, so we're doing spoilers on this. So if you haven't read it, we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of this without getting demonetized by YouTube. God bless, hopefully that doesn't happen. You come to find out that Gambino is the one who really sold off Guts to this attacker. Guts doesn't want to believe it at first. He stands by Gambino. Fast forward a little bit, he is in a battle and he kind of goes off to the side and he is able to actually slay his abuser, which is amazing. It's such like a visceral, nice thing to have happen. But while he's doing that, as the attack is kind of moving forward, Gambino is injured and he becomes an amputee. He loses his leg, and you fast forward about 2 years after that, and you start to see a disheveled, broken man, even more so than he was before. Gambino was definitely not a standout, wonderful human, but you start to really see the aching that he has to get back into contact and just destroy. He feels like he's so much less of a leader. Obviously, he is demoted from being a leader because of the injury. He's not able to lead. So in a fit of drunken fury, he attacks Guts at night when Guts is still trying to kind of convalesce and come to terms with this abuse that happened to him in the beginning. In self-defense, Guts kills Gambino. It is also there that any sort of doubt that Guts may have had about Gambino being the person to receive money for selling out Guts, Gambino confirms and says, I sold you. You killed Sis. You're a black kind of plague. You're weighing us all down. Of course, the rest of the troop sees that Guts did that. They chase him down. While he's running away, he falls off a cliff. Now, this is a moment where I kind of thought, oh, maybe he's going to become a part of a wolf pack, you know? But no. While he has fallen off of this cliff and he's trying to survive, he has a couple of injuries. There's a pack of wolves that come and he's able to even defeat the wolves. And it's then when a group of mercenaries come by and see him injured, they kind of take him in, and he, again, is a standout fighter. He keeps on destroying all of these beasts and these people that otherwise weren't able to be defeated, and he is asked to join, and no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be solo. And that is when he's walking, he comes across this kind of like band of odd characters where you are first introduced to Griffith. From all the comments that I've been told, I know that Griffith is going to be maybe the worst character in the book. Maybe the worst character. You can kind of start to see a little bit of like the snobbish entitlement. This is my first impressions, okay? Those are my first impressions of Griffith. I don't know if people like Griffith or hate Griffith. Griffith was obviously depicted in the first Black Swordsman. You can start to see a little bit of shadows of who he is. There's no Puck in this, obviously, which is a little bit sad, but I love Puck. Hopefully he keeps on coming back up again. And then Casca is the girl who looks kind of exactly like Guts. Literally looks exactly like Guts, but you start to really see how impressive other really renowned fighters, Griffith especially, how they see Guts and how he is able to really hold his own, how kind of like a standalone fighter he is. So that's where I am right now. I figured I'd do a little check-in. Like I said, I'm going to be doing full spoilers for this, so we're in it. We're going to talk about this book. We're going to do the full rundown. It's funny, my friend was sitting on a chair, and I was telling him how I was reading Berserk, and he kind of just flipped it open, and he was like, oh my god, like a random page that I haven't even gotten to yet. He was like, this is the dark one, isn't it? I was like, yeah, I guess so. He's like, there's some stuff in here. There's some things happening. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. Don't worry, I'll get to it. So far, first impressions, I really love how this story is told. As a person who usually reads books, I think that this is probably like feels like it's the most cohesive storyline. You really are starting to understand the characters. You're starting to see more of the resilience theme, really who Guts is, what made him, the foundation of all of his trauma, and how he's trying to just understand why he's being treated this way. There's so much confusion that's happening to him as a child. You can just see in the pained expressions of his face in a lot of these very detailed drawings. But yeah, guys, I'm probably going to get about halfway through and then check in and let you know my halfway through thoughts, because I'm sure those will be a lot more fractured and upsetting than these super initial thoughts. So let's just keep going. Oh, there's a check in there, so hopefully you don't see the check that's in there. But that's where we are. That is where we are in Berserk. I always have to do the check-in to show you, and hopefully you can fact check and make sure that I'm telling the story correctly based on the progress. Actually, don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. Don't call me out on my horrible retelling of the story. So Guts has encountered Griffith. Griffith is now one of the main characters. What I have found that I really enjoy about this edition of the book, or this continuation of the story, is that I felt like the Black Swordsman arc really focused on Guts in particular, and Puck, my favorite. Whereas this Golden Age arc is focusing on Griffith, it's focusing on Casca, it's focusing on the group, the troop of fighters. It's allowing the reader to really become invested in this whole universe, not just Guts. Great storytelling even through just the pictures, even through the small amount of writing that's happening. Really great storytelling, super thorough. So at this point, Guts has kind of like inadvertently joined the Band of the Hawk, which is the battalion that Griffith is leading. Griffith is a charismatic leader, I guess you could say. There's something that Griffith has that has just kind of almost like brainwashed his entire troop to just being so absolutely in love with him. He's a great fighter. He has this kind of like weird smirky smile and just this captivating beauty that is like very androgynous looking and very, I don't know, appealing to the eye. And you can already tell that as much as Guts is conflicted about the power that Griffith has, you can tell that there's this casting of this spell that Griffith has on Guts and everybody within the Band of the Hawk. In the midst of all of that, there are significant battles that are happening, significant creatures that are happening. And as I talked about in the last check-in, you see really how Miura's drawing style evolves as the editions of the stories are being published. Really, wow. There's particular characters in this that are just like so densely and darkly drawn. And oh my gosh, it's like you want to just put on a t-shirt kind of thing, you know? It's just so cool looking. And Guts is trying to battle these creatures. Griffith is getting injured. You start to see the balance between the two of them. You start to see the camaraderie. You start to see how I have a feeling that there's probably going to be a betrayal at some point. I have a feeling that there's going to be a betrayal at some point. But you do start to see how Guts has really kind of fallen under the spell of Griffith, has really kind of fallen to trust him, which is something monumental because Guts has such a horrific background of trust with Gambino, people that he trusted. And so that is kind of what's happening right now. There has been an assassination plot on Griffith. He is at risk of taking over a royal court, essentially. Griffith has very high ambitions, and he even explicitly tells Guts that he owns him, that he will own a kingdom and he owns Guts. So yes, there's a psychological companionship there, but there's also a very, very physical ownership that Griffith has over Guts. You can see the ascension of Griffith's powers, and it is starting to become worrisome to some of the people that already have power in the kingdoms. So that's where we're at right now. I will hopefully be finishing this in a day or two. This is the Golden Age arc, right? I can see the emotional toll that people are feeling with this, especially in the first chapters of Guts's backstory. Oh my God. I mean, you open it up and it's just like, the first page you see is really horrible. I think it's just much more, I'm assuming that once I finish more of Berserk, this will really become an emotional callback and just see how much he's been betrayed. Because as much as I don't know what happens in this, obviously Griffith becomes an enemy. That's what's revealed in the Black Swordsman arc. Griffith becomes this bad character. So something happens. Let's keep reading. Don't look at my hair. I'm trying to camouflage that it's a little unruly. Okay? And if we're talking about unruliness, let's talk about the ending to Berserk. I put my little tassel. I finished it. It looks like I didn't finish it, but I finished it. I just didn't know how to put it in there without it falling out if I put it all the way in the back. Anyway, I have finished the Golden Age arc, the Assassin arc, the other arc in between, which I will put here because I forgot. I don't know if they're all within the same arc. Fill me in, okay? I don't know the lingo. I don't know the jargon of Berserk exactly. I'm still a little baby newbie. Are we still even using the word newbie? I don't know. But that's what I feel like. It's very fitting. There's a reason that word was created. Anyway, yeah, I finished it. And similar to the Black Swordsman arc, I feel like the endings of these stories, these little cliffhanger endings, are really what just bring me right in. So I left off with Assassin Chapter 4. So at this point, you can see just, I think, how unconsciously devoted that Guts is to Griffith. You can really start to see the powers that Griffith has over the people that he has created, like this troop that he's created, the Band of the Hawk. You can really start to see just how he has infused himself into everybody's psyche, which you will even start to understand even more down the line, which I will get to. In the beginning of Assassin, Griffith tells Guts that he has a job for him. He said somebody was out to assassinate me with this poisoned arrow. There's only one particular individual who had access to this. I went to the local potion maker and they said that only one person had picked it up, and he narrowed it down and found that the Highness had tried to set out to murder him. Obviously, there was some sort of jealousy. This idea that this lower commoner, who is Griffith, could rise up the ranks. A lot of this discussion about power and this discussion of royalty, of this natural serving order that could be disrupted by somebody of a lowly peasant rank, who is Griffith. Griffith's ambitions are pretty apparent from the beginning. You can really see just how he's kind of able to manipulate and take people, and just really see how strong of an allegiance Guts can have with him. So he tells him, I need you to assassinate him. Guts assassinates the Highness. But in the same exact moment, his son comes in, and Guts, thinking that there's an intruder, he kills the son as well. And you can just see through these flashbacks just the momentous stress, the mental stress that this has caused on him. I mean, God, he is a human after all. He's some superhuman kind of in his powers, but he is a human that has emotional responses to things. And you start to see this spiral of flashbacks from his childhood. And through this assassination, fast forward a couple of years, Griffith is in this high standing. There's another battle. And Casca, who is this character that you are formed to believe hates every single thing that Guts stands for. And the reason you come to see why she has this insecurity about Guts and the insecurity between her and Griffith is because of her backstory, which I will say, like I said in the Black Swordsman arc, I think the last bit of the book is probably my favorite. I loved Casca's story. I think it's probably because I'm a girl. I love these really deep backstories. And yes, you have Guts' backstory in the beginning, but I just feel like there's so many more layers that are going to become apparent as this story progresses. Casca's backstory is easily my favorite. Easily my favorite. I obviously feel a kinship to that. It was so great. If there's one thing I want to read, though, that I thought was such a great little portion of this book, is there is a paragraph where Griffith is talking to the princess, part of the royal family. You can really start to see how he has birthed himself into that world. And he has this little kind of monologue, I guess you could say. Really, obviously, it stuck out to me because it's a pretty deep moment of writing, and I feel like it's Miura really setting the stage for the type of mental gymnastics that Griffith is capable of evoking in people. If there is a dream which takes one his whole life to find, there are also dreams which, like storms, devour tens of thousands of other dreams. With no relation to social status, class, background, whether it suits them or not, people yearn for a dream. Sustained by a dream, hurt by a dream, revived by a dream, killed by a dream. And even after being abandoned by a dream, it continues to smolder from the bottom of one's heart, probably until the verge of death. A man should envision such a lifetime once, a life spent as a martyr to the God-named dream. And I don't know, that just stuck out to me in a way. I know that everybody keeps on commenting, remember, Griffith did nothing wrong. Griffith! Griffith! So I understand Griffith's impact. Yeah, what did I think about this book ultimately? Or this volume, I should say. I am really interested to see where Miura takes these characters, because even in just these small instances of character building and then war and clashes and fighting, you really do become invested again. And like I said in the last one, and like I just said in this one, the ending scene leaves you so intrigued to know what happens. I know why Casca is devoted to Griffith. She saved him. But really, is it that, or is it just this inability to kind of break away from him? Forgot if I mentioned, but he has the Behelit. I want to see how that just convulses and changes his mentality. I want to see this greed of power. I want to see these themes of betrayal really come through. I want to see these themes of ambition. I want to see these themes of just retaliation come through. And I think as I continue to read more, I will get that. Overall, again, I'm very invested in this. I'm going to keep on doing these little check-ins about Berserk. It might take a little bit of time. I'm going through something right now, so I don't have access to things that I used to have, but I will definitely check in with you guys and keep you updated. And yeah, let me know where else I should keep going with this. I think there's about 14 of these big ones, so I'm 2 down, 12 more to go. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you